Arinola is my guest today. Yeah. Everyone who's joining us this evening, I want to welcome you to our third part of our series, the 5 series on the life of women entrepreneurs in Nigeria, the survival power. My guest this evening is the head of school. That's how she prefers to call herself. Though I will call her CEO because she wears several caps.
Yes, so that's it.
She's the head of school, Minders Montessori School here in Lagos, Nigeria. And we're coming to you from Lagos, Nigeria, even though she's not here. She's in the abroad. Anyway, we are going to be talking to Ari on the various caps that she's won as a business person. First and foremost, as an educationist. And she would also tell you something she did that was quite daring for a woman in her field of our own field, and veering into something totally different. But I'll leave her to do that explanation. She's a passionate person, very dedicated to whatever she does, and I guess that explains why she dares to thread where some women have to think twice before they go there. And she wasn't moved by or frightened by whatever it is that, people bring to the table to scare her off. She still went ahead, and she did make an impact. But today we're going to first talk about the business side of Arinola. So today I'm talking to a woman who has a master's, who has a master in public health, and she has expressed that in the business she does. Ari, welcome to the program and I call it In Conversation with Susan Eyo-Ikpe.
Hi, Susan. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right. So we're going to go straight to the point. We're here. You are a businesswoman. You are an entrepreneur here in Nigeria.
Yes.
How did you find yourself veering into that aspect of being a business person and specializing in the Montessori school? How did you get yourself in that?
I wish I could tell you that it was, you know how people have some fancy stories around how they got into it. I wish I had that. For me, it wasn't like that. I've always worked all my life. I started working when I was 16 years, so I've always worked all my life. So I had an interest. I love kids. I love working with kids. I just know that education makes a difference. From the schools that I've been, I've known the areas where I've struggled because the teachers haven't done what they're supposed to do. So I was so determined to change that narrative, So I went into, first of all, I started as a creche because of my love of babies. I was working in my children's church, in my church for years. And I just really loved to do that. I just got pleasure from seeing these children start out as babies and then just grow so big and then, achieve so much. So I started out as a creche because of that. And that was actually what it was I wanted to do. I wanted to do a creche and a day nursery when I started out. So what we're talking about, that I started out 24 years ago. So I've had my business now for 24 years.
Wow, 24 years. That's amazing. How has that journey been for you, really? Ups
and downs. I think what has kept me going really is the love for the kids. So you have to have a passion for what you do. If you don't have a passion for what you do in Nigeria kills it for you. I won't say that it's always been rosy, and there have been times when I've been really, really just so angry and just said to myself, look, I'm going to just stop this. I can't do this. My husband says I run a charitable organization that's not a school, so and that's the way it's been for years. But when I look at the kids and I look at the impact that I have in their lives, I just keep going. I just keep going. It's not been easy from everything, you know what it is like when you are a one-man business. It's even worse because you're a small business. Definitely. Yes, you're a small business. Yeah. You can't afford to get, you can put structure in place, but really you can't afford to have an accountant separate, an HR person separate, like a marketing person separate. You can't afford to put all those things, so you end up wearing so many caps. Like I have, at the very beginning, I was the accountant, the marketer, the admin, the teacher, the carer, the nanny, the nurse, everything, and that's it. And it's pretty much still the same, really. I wouldn't lie about that, So it's been really, really tough. It's been really tough, but the joy of it is seeing those kids. They come to me at 3 months old. They leave Now we're primary school, so they leave us when they're year 6, so they're about 10, 11. Think about it. So I'd watched them go from when they were 3 months old to getting to like 10 and 11 years old. So I mean, the transformation is amazing. I couldn't ask for more.
Okay. All right. So with most women, you know, I mean, when they go into business, the tendency is they'll tell you they always meet brick walls, in the sense that it's never an easy thing for them to, you know, be able to get the finance and all of that usually is expected to help you to build the business. Was that the case with you when you started out Minders?
It's not when I started out. It's still the case with me right now. So it's not about.
Are you kidding me?
It's still the case. It never goes away.
Wow.
It never goes away.
Wow.
You know, but, I mean, it's just that you kind of get better and you find ways to be creative around it. So for years, I used to struggle with salaries at the end of the month. My school is in a location where we got loads of other schools as well. At first, it was okay, it was fine. And then suddenly, everybody is coming in. Everybody's in school, you know. So
wow,
we put everything in place. But you see, the thing about a school is that it's a funny business. If you have 10 kids, it was the same cost that would cost you to run the place that will cost you to run
100.
Technically, because if you have one child in a class, you have to have a teacher for that class. If you have 2 kids in a class, you have to get a teacher for that class. So I mean, so you have all your teachers in each class, and you don't have the numbers, you know. So it's still that same problem. So it's always finances. We're always looking for money, running to one bank after the other. One term, I tell my parents, "Oh, we've gone to this bank, so this is where payment should be." The next term, another bank has come to offer me something else, and I say, "Okay, we're back to this other bank." So but now I don't do that anymore. I've just stayed at one particular bank. But then they ask you, collateral. What are you going to put down? What are you going to do? Can I see your numbers? Can I see your books? I'm like, if I had the books and the numbers in the first place, I wouldn't be here.
Why would I come to you?
I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be talking to you. You know what I mean? But having said that, there was one particular place that I found really, really helpful. And I'm so sorry that at the end of the day, I still had a bit of a problem with the repayment. That was Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. And that's, I mean, I'm not selling their market here, but in all honesty, I did apply for that. I didn't know anybody. I applied for it. I got the money, and everything that I wanted to do was what I did with the money. So I wanted to change our computer rooms. I wanted to put in new computers because I realized that, you know, the way to go is technology, and that the kids need to have a good understanding of it. I wanted to buy playground equipment. I wanted to buy computers and all that, you know. So I wanted to buy an interactive whiteboard in the classroom. So I did get the funding for that. But then the story of Nigeria is now a different story from after you get the funding.
Exactly.
You know what then happens? Does everything fall in place? Everything you projected, does it work out as such? You know what I mean? Because, you know, in being a business person is so difficult. It's so difficult in Nigeria because we're providing everything for ourselves, from providing our electricity, our water, you know, practically everything, diesel, the cost of diesel and everything. But then that wasn't even the story. The problem was that now the people that I got to sell me those things at the end of the day had their businesses, but sold me a bad product. Then I had projections that I would have a certain number of kids join us in September. That didn't happen. The story now began. So for the first year, I struggled, killed myself, was doing my repayments. The second year, the struggle began. I couldn't cope anymore. I couldn't continue my repayments. I couldn't, you know, so I was missing payments. So I would pay this month, but the next month I wouldn't be able to pay, you know. And then, you know, with the school business, you can't really pay monthly like that. That was the thing that I asked for at the beginning. That wasn't even taken into consideration. And that's the same thing that happens when you go looking for money on finance. They never take your business into consideration and how it operates, and tailor your loan repayment around how you can pay.
You operate.
Yes, and how you can pay. You can't give me a loan and expect me to pay you monthly when I only collect fees termly, for instance.
We don't collect rent. You don't collect salary. You don't collect school fees around monthly anyway.
Termly, you know what I mean? So I mean, you need to be able to. Then if I do for even the Lagos Employment Trust, I remember saying to them, you need to give me a break first. Let the term start out and all that. But oh no, they said it wasn't signed like that. Anyway, but I was desperate for the money. It was a single digit. It was better than what the banks were going to offer me. And they weren't even asking me for my mother and my father, like the banks would have been asking me. So yeah, I took the loan.
Wow.
But I kept going to them and talking to them and telling them, it's not that I really, at the very beginning, for a straight year, I did not default once. It wasn't convenient, but I wanted to kill myself to do it. But at the end of the day, I couldn't. And that's the problem we all face as business owners in Nigeria. Your projection is one thing, and what happens at the end of the day is a different thing.
Okay. Do you think that your own case is a peculiar case to you because you are in the education sector where the kind of like rules that defines how revenue comes in, or do you want to say that would you say that all the things you've said is something that is common to most women in the business environment here in Nigeria?
I don't think it's really just women. I think it's just common to all of us in Nigeria. Think about it. I want to buy I get a loan. I want to start producing something, or I want to import something in. As at the time when I get the loan, the dollar is 360. As at the time by the time the thing is coming, it's 460. How do you balance that?
Wow.
How do you balance that? So I don't think it's peculiar to just women. It's just the way the whole financing and the Nigerian economy, you cannot really project. Every time you do, you say, okay, I will do so and so and so. If I do so and so and so. So when I hear people say, oh, you're a business owner, oh, you've got a school, oh, you've done 10 years. At 10 years, you should have broken even. And you're even 24 years. You must be doing very well.
How wrong can you get?
I smile and I just think, Especially when I get bankers, the amazing things when you go to a bank and the bankers tell you what they expect of you, or I look at them and I smile and I say to them, you know what? I'm waiting for you in the outside world when you come out of your banking profession. You come and join us in the real world, and then you can now tell me those things. There.
Oh my goodness. Okay, can I ask you this? In view of what has happened, the new normal that we're all faced with right now, and then especially with the educational sector, where you are a private practitioner, how have you prepared yourself, or did you envisage that what has happened with the pandemic would happen? And you've been telling us earlier that you told us earlier that even up till now, the challenges are still there. So with the new normal that has happened, schools being on lockdown for months now, children being at home, I'm sure there are some parents that will be saying hallelujah, they don't have to pay any money. How are you staying afloat, keeping your staff, still, employed, and not feeling that, this would deprive them, because we've been at this for about 4 months now. So how have you coped with having to manage the school?
I guess the same as everyone else. It's been challenging, but the thing about it, what I have done with my staff, for instance, is that the minute it happened, so the 2 weeks when when we were told to shut school, before the term ended for the second term, not even the third term, I had called a meeting with my staff and I said to them, look, let's deal with the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is that we don't know when we're going to be back. We don't know what's going to happen. This is what they said about the pandemic. We've never seen it before. So, just prepare yourself. And then so we managed to pay that salary. And then we went back home and everybody was at home. But for some, so we managed to come back on for third term too as well, which was really good because, everybody had to, it was a sacrifice and we all had to sacrifice. So I was upfront to my staff. I was honest to my staff. I told them, this is what is happening. We all have to sacrifice, put in our bits. So yes, I was a bit I had to give them some kind of allowance because obviously, they're going to be using the internet, their data and all that kind of stuff. So it was important that I did that. But so we had 3 months of constant teaching online with our kids, engaging the kids.
Because I was gonna come to that, because I know that for a lot of the private schools, most of the owners had to introduce online teaching for the students, and then I wonder, how do you does that mean that the fees continue because of that, or are you doing that without, expecting payments from the parents of the children?
Well, it depends on what you're doing. Everybody had different circumstances around what they were doing. I mean, like, wasn't a one cap fit all, because like what I was doing in my own place was different from what the next person was doing in a different school, depending on what time they came on board and what time and the understanding they had of it. So for us, it was quite interesting because we caught on quickly enough, So like I said, the first 2 weeks we were already online, engaging the kids, getting them to understand, getting them to be able to walk around using Zoom, using Google Class, and all that. So by the time it was for 10 to start, we were on top of our game. So we actually did have a school session, so we started that. So, I mean, what would apply with me not necessarily apply with the next person. So, I mean, parents bought in. We had a meeting. In fact, we had a Zoom meeting. All the parents were there. They wanted. So yes, we didn't get some. I think we're having some. Okay. If you were charging lunch and all that, there were some fees that you couldn't get. I mean, it wasn't even fair to be asking the parents for. But basic tuition. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So did you have to have the kids, like do some kind of exams online because they were still having classes online, or is it a case that they're gonna have to wait so you guys?
We won't call it an exam because like you understand, we probably didn't even finish the whole curriculum. So we did an assessment. We did an assessment just to get an understanding, so we know that when we go back in, this is where we are at, so we could understand whether the children like the concept or not, and then whether they got it. And don't forget that even when we go back to school, we're still going to have to do this. So blended learning is going to be there forever. So we wanted to get to really understand how the children coped, and that's what assessments are for, really. So we did have an assessment, yes.
Okay. All right. So let's assume this whole thing blows over. What will be different about? Let me repeat the question. I said, in view of the new normal, how would you? What are the things you would have to introduce to your school to stay, on top of your game as it concerns what the new normal will be? Because I do not know. I mean, the belief amongst a lot of parents is that school will not be like it used to be. Certain things would have to change. So, and all of this come with, definitely will come with cost. Would you be doing distancing of the kids? What are the things that you are going to be putting in place in your school?
First and foremost, we're going to follow NDCT's guidelines. So that's the first step. Okay. So because as a body that is in charge of things like that, so we're going to follow on public health, whatever they say. But apart from that, I mean, if you're talking about safety, the different things we're going to have to put in place. But there's safety, there's how the academics is going to go from now on. There's the class social distancing, like you said. So the different things that we're going to, yes, we all have to put all those things in place. And like I said to you earlier on, there's going to be blended learning and the continuous one, because in most countries now, what they're saying is that if there is an outbreak of the virus again, they're not going to shut down schools. So for instance, we have to take that into consideration. So if a child is ill and not in school, they can still be in the class even though they're at home. So I mean, which is where the investment is going to come in. We'll have to put in more computers. The children will have to have their own personal laptops. We'll have to have a stronger data system where we have larger budgets. I mean, like we won't be dealing with one provider. We'll have to do like 3-4 providers just in case, because you know how it is. Look at how long it took us to connect. So all those things come with a cost. Then again, in the classrooms, I mean, like when we measured our space, we can't have more than 8 kids in a class. Because of our room space. So I don't know with the other rooms, because we have to do the 2-meter rule. So we wouldn't have more than 8 kids in our class, for instance. So that means that you're going to be extending the class. So say, for instance, you have a class of 15 kids. So you have to have, you're going to have a second class, or what do you do? And you have to have another teacher. I mean, so these are things that we're working around. And then some of the guidelines that the government have brought out as well. They were talking about us having an isolation center in case we need to isolate a child that is not well or whatever. So I mean, all those things come with a lot of.
I think you're supposed to have like a nurse session or something.
In that isolation center, you have to have a nurse. You have to employ a registered nurse that will be there in that isolation center. And I don't think we'll be able to do school lunches anymore, because so children have to come in with their packed foods, and they will have to eat in the classrooms. We can't go to the dining. Outdoor play is going to be limited. Even when resumption time is going to be limited. So let's say,
how are the kids going to enjoy themselves? Because they don't understand all of the, they don't understand what has happened.
That's what you think, but that's what we are there for as educators. We are having to educate them and get them to get that understanding. So what we're doing every day, we try and have a discussion around it, and we talk about it. We see what their fears are. We try and explain how it will work to them. We play games around it. We do creative writing around it. We do poems around it, just to break the ice. Because what you don't know is what you're scared of. But when you do know it, you're not so scared. So, you know, so there are ways around it. That's why we're educators. So we're going to get them. I had a Zoom call, for instance. I had a talk when I had children from different schools. Just come and tell us. Because I was curious. I wanted to know what kind of understanding they had around it. And were they ready to play their part? Did they know what their part? Because everyone has a part to play in this thing. The teachers have their part to play. School owners have their part. School leaders have their part. The children have their parts. You know, the nannies, the cleaners, the security man, everybody.
Everybody.
So it's a document that we have to write down, get it signed, train everybody, so everybody understands what they need to do. So yes, the children are going to be able to do it. You'll be surprised. You see, that's the thing. That generation has seen a pandemic. We've only seen it in our old age. So they've grown up with it. You know what I mean? So they really do have a good grasp of it.
Exactly. Okay. Let me ask you this. In view of the number of years you've been in the education sector, you know, as a private school owner, what are the challenges, or let me put it this way, what risk have you had to take in your desire to build the school that you have right now? And have you at any point found yourself at hitting brick walls, and when that has happened to you, how did you you know, get yourself to stand and still believe in the vision that you have for the profession that you are in and for the business that you're running?
Okay, remember, like I said to you in the beginning, I said this thing is a passion. I don't think you can run a business without having a passion for it in Nigeria, especially. Otherwise, you would just shut the door and go home and say, you know what, I've had enough. But you see, the thing about it is not a shop. It's not a fruit vending. You know, it's not those. I'm not a fruit vendor. I'm not. You know what I mean? It has to do with lives. So no matter what, I still have to just keep going. Yes, of course, I've hit lots of brick walls. What are you talking about, Susan? Is there anybody in Nigerian business that hasn't hit brick walls? I have. But you know, I've just been able to just decide and learn and say, you know, this will pass. So that's always what I say now. When everything is going wrong, I just say, oh, it will pass. It will pass. And that's where we have no support at all. I have no support at all.
Wow.
No support.
Wow.
No support at all. And that's the truth of the matter.
Even with what has happened, no support came.
No support. My teachers have been paying. I've been a school owner now for 24 years, I said. Private school teachers pay tax. We do not get palliatives. We didn't get anything.
Wow.
I'm not asking for myself as a proprietor. I'm talking about the teachers. You know?
Yes.
We're taxpayers. We're taxpayers, you know? And then we have no support. We got no support, which is something.
I think recently there was a report that said that the government was considering paying some of the private schools that pay tax. I think I read that report like about 2 weeks ago, but I don't know if that has been communicated to your school.
That report, where did you read it, is the thing. I think what it is that private school association have sent a request or are putting something together to go to the government to say, look, we want you to assist us. Because there are a lot of private schools that haven't paid their teachers not even a dime for the whole 4 months that this period, you know, because they haven't got.
But these people have families. That's crazy.
They haven't got income coming in as well. You know, they don't have computers. They can't go online. They're not ready to go online. You know, you have to think about it. It's not something. This thing hit us so bad, and it's
not easy to do.
Too.
It comes with a lot of cost.
Yes, it does. I mean, if a school is charging, I mean, there are schools that charge as little as 15,000 a term. The schools that in low-income schools,
per term.
Per term. There are schools that I know that the woman they have children, but they do not charge because the parents they can't pay. So they deal with, they get support from people, the parents support them, people in the neighborhood, community, NGOs support them. You know, and people always just frown at those schools. But you see, if those children went in that school, where would they be? Is what is the question. So yes, there are a lot of people that we didn't get any support. I didn't get any support. My teacher, I'm not even looking for support for myself. I have loan repayment that I've not been able to pay, because obviously how can I pay? So this 4 months, I've not done any of my repayments. So even when they said, oh, that the finance company that says that some CBN, whatever loan or something, I said to them, the one that I haven't even finished paying. I have no plans of going to get another one and adding that to my problem.
Wow.
So,
wow. Okay, I'm gonna ask you this other question, because I know that besides the school, you also do you trade on the side. What necessitated your having to veer into another business, bearing in mind that the business of school is quite demanding?
Okay, so, well, I wouldn't call myself a trader as such. I'll call myself an occasional vendor or something like that. But it has been necessary so that I could meet my costs. I don't remember when last I've gotten a salary from the school. It's just not been possible to get a salary off the school.
Seriously?
Yes. You know, so I mean, and like I said, the only reason why I'm still at it is because I've invested so much. Everything goes into the school. If you talk to other school owners, it's the same thing. If my husband buys toilet paper in the house, half of it will go to the school. If they buy what should not be, have to go. You know, everything goes into the school. Everything goes into the school. So much money has gone into the school, and I mean the returns is not like that. So yes, I've had to do something. So I would do like an occasional vendor. Maybe there was a souk or something, you know, like a fair. I would do, because I mean, like something that interests me, my hobby. So that's what I've had to do. Yes. And you know, in Nigeria, you have to have multiple streams of income.
Oh yes, definitely. I think the bottom line these days is that you cannot run just one business. You just have to be like a serial entrepreneur to be able to break even. That seems to be like the thread when you talk to other business women, you know, who have one business. They don't have one. They always have more than one business concern. You said something earlier about the business of, you know, being the private business owner as it concerns a school school owner. The experience you've had, would you say that is the same experience? Because I mean, there's some people who say, well, some people have schools that are doing so well, they're making money. What? And you've been there for 24 years. So what would you think is the missing link here? What is it that you feel has worked for some, and you know, there's still schools who are still, you know, trying to break even like some of you? Or is it a case of they've had their own trials and are finally broken even or something?
I don't know. I really can't speak for others, Susan. But all I know is that it's, I mean, school, the running cost of a school is not child's play. And I know that, I mean, as part of the running cost, it will affect everyone. I was even saying to my staff and to my friends that are school owners, I was like, you know what, maybe we should even just stay online, because I don't have all that daily cost that I would come up with. The toilet is not working, you get a plumber, this is not doing that, you do that, You know, I don't have all that. We've been online. You know, so everybody's situation is different. I really couldn't tell what the problem is. The same way I can't tell what it is. But I know that there's I mean, it got so bad in the stage at the time in our Daily Jones. They had an offer, bring one child, bring two kids, pay for one. So that's how bad.
Are you serious?
Let me just even break that down for you. That's how bad it can get.
Wow. So would you now say that in view of your 24 years of experience as a school owner, for someone who is, you know, about to leave a paid employment and has a passion for what you're doing now, would you say that the business of owning a private school would be one you'd advise one to be quick to jump into?
Yes, because you're going to be touching a life. You're going to have to think about it properly and say, look, is this to make money, or is this to, you know, play my own part and, you know, and touch lives? If that's your passion, if that's what you want to do, yes. But if it's to make money. I really don't know how that's going to work out. Maybe I just haven't been successful. So let me speak for myself at making money at it. But one thing that I've been successful at is changing people's lives. And I've seen my kids grow.
Okay.
I've seen my kids move on to other schools. And I've seen my kids
That's the
excel.
benefit for you.
And I've seen them excel. So, I mean, I might not see it as per money in my bank account, but I've seen it as per the lives that I have taught. So you have to decide which one you want and what you want to do. That's what I would say.
Okay. I also know you took a bold step and went into politics. Why?
I've said it so many times, I can even say it to my sleep. I was just so tired about the whole system. And I just wanted to make a difference. I just said to myself, Arinola, there is no point sitting down at home and shouting and making noise and abusing everybody. Put your money where your mouth is. Put your money where your mouth is.
Abusing everybody.
Yeah. Put your money where your mouth is, because then you're just sitting down there, you're criticizing. You're thinking, oh, it's their problem. It's not their problem. It's our problem. If we don't speak up, we don't do anything about it, it's not going to change. Nobody gives you anything on a platter of gold. That one is gone. It doesn't happen like that. If you want a better Nigeria, we all have to stand up and play our own part and take it.
So how was that experience for you? What did you take away from that experience? Because I know you ran for the Ethiopia seat in the Lagos Assembly under the Social Democratic Party. What did you get from that experience? And what did you, what did you take away from that experience in view of the passion that drove you into it?
That we have a long way to go as Nigerians, and that we need to be deliberate and intentional about changing mindsets. And if we don't change the mindset, we're not going to go anywhere. Look at all the things that have been happening the last few days. Everyone is laughing about it, tweeting about it, making videos about it. I mean, like, we are the joke.
But it's not funny.
So that we're the joke.
It's not funny. I get you. It's not funny one bit.
And I don't get it. And I just keep looking at people and say, what are you guys doing? I mean, yes, it is hilarious. I mean, I won't say I didn't laugh. I just laughed and shook my head. But I sat down later and thought about it, that we are the joke. We are the joke, you know? So, but everybody thinks, oh, it's government, it's government. Susan, you and I
agree.
Government. We're the government. We're not any different as a citizen than the people that have old, you know,
I agree.
Holders.
I agree. I totally agree. I showed this line of thought to you because since I've been watching all the unveiling of trillions and billions, that making it sound like this is coins and pennies, you know, that they're talking about, I just have been angry. I cannot understand how people hear this and there's no outrage, there's no protest, and everyone's taking it as if it's a normal thing to happen. What's the big deal?
But Susan,
you know, so I actually get what you're saying.
Look at the
honestly,
generation. It is a normal thing. This is what they grow up to know.
It is
what they know. They don't see it. They don't know any difference. You and I are outraged because,
which is quite sad. Which is quite sad.
We are outraged because we've seen a better Nigeria. We saw a bit of it before we got into this. I mean, but they haven't seen it. This is all they know. So soon they're going to be accepting it as the norm, except we stand up and change that narrative.
I agree. Would you still want to do what you did the last time? Go out and contest for this seat again if the opportunity came?
Yes, I will. And if I do find a younger person that I know is dedicated and I can support, I will support that person too. It doesn't have to be me.
Wow.
It's just that we need to change that scope. We need to. It can't be the same people over and over again, and we're content and happy with it. And we keep thinking it's not our business. Whatever they do, they affect us. You know, and you need to understand it. It's so. I mean, I'm really passionate about it. That's another thing that gets me really, really worked up. I'm really, you know, that everybody just seems to think, oh, as long as my food come, I have money to eat. There's nothing. Let them do their own. They're stealing that money. That money is the money that is. The amazing thing is that the people in that area, I've not even heard them talk. Only one man that I saw spoke, and he laughed about.
You know why they're not talking? The truth of the matter is they are the problem. They are their problem. The people who say they're fighting the cause for them are all indicted in this thing. So they're not talking.
The one that I heard talk was talking about coconut breaking head and saying that is our brother. And I'm like, what? How?
Ridiculous,
How?
right?
So I guess,
ridiculous.
I guess we'll have to just laugh about the whole thing.
Yeah. It's so sad. Ari, honestly, I mean, if I can go on and on with
Yes.
you, but you know, there's a time frame to this. So I just want to say thank you for making our time to be with
Thank you
me
so much.
and to have to. Oh, and I'm sure that a lot of people who are going to benefit from the things that you've said, because I didn't even know that it was such a lot of job to have to build a school to keep it going. You know, you see the way people talk about the business of owning a private school, you think it's an easy thing to do. But hearing from someone who's been in it for 24 years, you know that is not an easy feat. But what drives you is passion, consistency, and the desire to see the children that you've gathered together and taught all these years excel. And that is amazing. Amazing. I want to say thank you for being a part of In Conversation with Susan Eyo-Ikpe, and I look forward. I'm sure we're going to have more conversation.
Yeah, definitely, because we need to go through the process of starting a business, what you need to do, all the things that I didn't do when I started.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Irene. I'll call on you again very soon.
Anytime.
All right. So everyone, I want to say thank you for joining us. We're going to be replaying this on our YouTube channel, and we'll definitely have it on our IGTV channel as well. So thank you for joining us this evening, and have yourself a lovely day. Thank you, Irene. Thank you so much.